Welcome to the Pizza and PE podcast, the Triple P, where a group of friends get together each week to eat pizza and discuss PE.
Hello, Keith. How are you?
I'm rocking and rolling, ready to have a little pizza.
It is
We'll talk PE, of course.
It is time to eat, so I have my pizza ready as well. But I wanted to start out by saying something exciting that we just launched this morning today. As people, I think, know, or maybe some of our listeners or viewers, this is new to them. I retired from North Carolina schools about 2 years ago, and now I work for a company called School Health that actually helps sponsor this Pizza and Pete podcast. But just today, we launched an absolute free instructional resource. It's called the Cardio Quest, sort of for National Heart Month in February, but similar to the beep test. It has the same classic rules, the same timings, same levels, but it is a visual representation where a teacher now can plug in their laptop, plug in their speaker, their projector, go to the link on YouTube and choose whether they want to do the 20-meter cardio quest or the 15-meter cardio quest. And it's more inclusive because it even has slides that say what level they're on, what lap they're on, and it even has the word go, especially for those who may be hearing impaired, plus has a progress bar timer. So those who are listening, if you want to capture that cardio quest, aka beep test, just go to School Health Phys Ed YouTube channel or go to my Twitter at Morton Moose. I put the links out there today. It's ready to go. Plug and play. So it's pretty cool.
We've really gone corporate, haven't we?
We what are you talking about?
I mean,
what do you mean?
This
I'm branded. I'm branded with School Health. No, what? It's not so much about going corporate. It's about using the platform that I'm provided with right now to be able to create more resources for quality health and PE. That's what I've always been about. Even when I was a teacher, then as a coordinator, and now I get the privilege to create more instructional resources, which that's my favorite thing to do, is to create content, create instructional resources. So just another way that you can do the beep test, and it's more inclusive to meet the needs of more students. So, hey, speaking about the beep test, it's the traditional fitness test, right? The beep test, the pacer test. How did you used to do fitness testing when you taught?
So, when I first started teaching, it was a presidential fitness test. So it was all the mile run, the shuttle run. Mm-hmm. Then it switched over to the
Fitnessgram
test, the Fitnessgram, the pacer test, and I have probably not the same outlook on elementary PE as a lot of friends, and I honestly got away from the fitness test as a elementary because I only saw the kids once a week, and I didn't feel like setting that much time aside for something that was kind of
6 weeks
really
long.
Well, but you're not. What's the end game? Like, I'm going to see the kids now, but I'm not going to work on the fitness testing stuff all year to set a goal to only be pushed back. I wanted the kids to have goals, so I changed it in my last year of teaching I did 3 fitness challenges a year, beginning, mid, and end. And it was hand release push-ups, line touches in the gym, and as many full sit-ups as you can in a minute. So that it took me 3 minutes per kid to do this. They had a partner, 10 minutes. They had a baseline. We did do a lot of stuff that helped get those parts of the body built up so that, hey, where are we at the mid-year? Where are we at the end of the year? And for those of you that have a tile floor will understand that whether you're doing pacer or any kind of running test, tile floors lose their wax over the course of the year. And that tends to not get too much better because the kids are sliding no matter how much you clean the floors. But it was good for them to see, hey, I am getting a little stronger here, or hey, I'm not as out of breath here, and doing it in little spurts instead of all day, in a 45-minute class with,
Right. And that's where I was trying to get to, is where I think this is what was your really true end goal was fitness testing is for progress monitoring. It's for goal setting. It's not for,
Yes.
oh, I did this many laps, I get this grade, or I get to do this many sit-ups, I have this grade. And that actually transcended even when I was in elementary, middle school, and high school. So it was more about setting personal goals and progress monitoring. So instead of kids viewing it as a test, that's why I love this new Cardio Quest name, where it's not called the beep test, the 1 mile test. It's a quest. Your challenge is to run as many laps as possible. So anyways, all right.
But but quickly to that regard, though, is the big thing is I don't want kids at the elementary level to look at a quote unquote chart that tells them that they're healthy or not, when they could be the healthiest kids in the world, but may not be in that healthy zone because maybe their focus is something else. They're still healthy, right? So don't put yourself in a box, right? Here it is. You know what you are, you know how to set goals, because this is what we want. Fitness, lifelong fitness is about setting goals for yourself, not
and being
for
right. So, all right, well, let's get to our guest. Our guest today is the one and only Nick Kline. He is a SUNY graduate, and SUNY stands for State University of New York. SUNY Cortland is actually a mecca for physical education teachers. It has a huge reputation of producing quality health and PE teachers. He's an esteemed curriculum writer. He's an open national trainer and the director of active schools. He's known for his endless positivity. Every time I see him at a conference, even if I don't walk up to him, he's constantly smiling, Keith. He is so optimistic. He's so enthusiastic. He's so passionate about the physical education profession and health profession. I don't think there is a stranger Nick hasn't met. So let's welcome Nick Kline to the show. Hi, Nick.
Hey, what's happening?
Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
So where are you right now? I see like sort of a classroom setting in the background.
Yeah, so right now, this very second, I am in the AMP lab, which stands for the Activity Movement Pedagogy Lab, which is on the SUNY Cortland campus. So this is the office space that I get to use because I teach one course here at the college, and I love when I work from home, not to have to work from home, to be able to come in and have an office setting and people to see and not be in my silo where I don't get to interact with anybody.
Well, this leads me to the first question then. So what exactly are you doing? Where are you in your career? Talk to us about even, some of your projects, curriculum, professional development. Just let our viewers know where you're at.
Yeah, sure. So what led me up to this path was I worked at the YMCA out of college for about 4 years and then taught elementary physical education for 10, coached at all levels from the littlest kids to the varsity level. And then when Open launched in 2015, I had the opportunity to leave the classroom and then pursue a couple of different paths along the way. Currently, I am the active schools director, which is a half-time roughly job of around 20-ish hours a week. And then the other half-time, I do some contracting work. So you mentioned through Open. So I contract with Open to provide professional development at the district and regional levels, as well as at state and national conferences. And then I also have Be the Hype, which is my own personal gig where I can do the same or similar stuff, supporting teachers maximize the effectiveness of physical activity and or physical education. So yeah, as you mentioned, that's my passion.
So what kind of sports did you coach? Because you mentioned from the littles to the high school level. So what sports did you do?
Yeah, it was my two main sports were soccer and track and field. And I still have my hands in soccer. That was the sport I was most closely connected with. And I have managed the travel club here in town for a number of years. And finally, this past season, got somebody to help just because it was more than I could manage alone with everything else. So I'm coaching my 5-year-old soccer, the U6 level. But when I was teaching, it was the junior high and varsity level.
So what was your teaching then when you were in the public school system? And I'm assuming New York public school system?
Yep, little school in central New York, as I mentioned, Cortland, which is about 30 minutes south of Syracuse. And I was at Parker Elementary School, and it was either kindergarten through sixth grade or pre-K through sixth grade, depending on the year and my schedule. So I had roughly 2 sections of every grade, and I saw every class twice a week for about 40 minutes.
Wow, you're in New York when you say that you're elementary and you're seeing the classes more than once every 6 or 7 days.
Right.
So is it
a lot of progress with that?
Yeah. Is it true? Is it difficult to get a job in New York as a physical education teacher, or is it just depends on the location?
Yeah, I would say yes. To answer your question, one simple answer. I think in the last year or two, there have been less people vying for that role as a teacher, but it's still hundreds of people for any one position in a school. So definitely very competitive.
Wow.
So up in New York, and you're teaching over there at SUNY Cortland. Are you seeing
not SUNY, SUNY Cortland?
SUNY, tomato.
No, it's a big difference. And viewers, listeners, I grew up in New York, so I know the SUNY system. I know exactly where Cortland is. So yes, we have to correct it when they say SUNY. Go ahead, Keith. Sorry.
Wow. Guess it's not sunny in Cortland today.
It's not actually.
It's only in Philadelphia. So are you seeing at the collegiate level the same decline in students going into physical education as a major as we are seeing, say, here in North Carolina? Because we're seeing a lot of kids not opting for physical education and going the park and rec route or the sport management route. And then when they get out into the workforce, they circle back around to us. So, but what's it look like there?
Well, I think speaking for SUNY Cortland, we have not been impacted because I think a lot of the other programs and degrees and universities that offer education programs have dropped their programs or eliminated them altogether. So that gives less options of places to go to. So Cortland has not been impacted by those numbers because we get the students from the other places where they no longer have that as an option.
So it's good that you guys are thriving and that, kids are wanting to still get into the PE profession up there and make a difference like we did, because that's how we all got into this. So now I'm going to jump over to another question. And because you mentioned active schools as the director of active schools. So let's talk about active schools for a second. How do you get involved with them? And what is the director of active schools, not after school, active schools? What does that look like?
Sure. Let me first tell you what Active Schools is. So Active Schools was founded by Michelle Obama as the Let's Move initiative. So if Michelle Obama is listening or anyone that knows her, I've been trying to tag her on tweets so that she can reconnect and repost or like some of the things that we're doing that she started way back when. So after that presidency, we were looking for a home organization, and we found that with Action for Healthy Kids. So they're sort of like the national or nonprofit umbrella that we get to work under. And my connection, I had a contact with Charlene Burgesson back sometime during the pandemic, like the 21 timeframe, summer of 21. And she was looking for somebody to support her because she was sort of in a hybrid role between Action for Healthy Kids and being the director of active schools. She has since retired. So now I get to sort of take the reins over and continue all of the work, which I am totally passionate about, as we mentioned before. So to answer your question, what is an active school? We have like this official definition, which I'll read to you, and then I'll simplify it. So an active school culture consists of deliberate, systematic, and sustained efforts among teachers, administrators, school staff, parents, community members, and students to fully integrate physical activity into the essential fabric of a school community. So in simple terms, we want kids to move more. And I also have to highlight, because I'd be remiss if I didn't give Brian Dowenhauer a shout out, who is the director of the UNC Active Schools Institute. So the University of Northern Colorado Active Schools Institute is one of the strategic partners of Active Schools, and they have done so much work to support us and make us look good, among which are creating these 9 essential elements, which guide everything that we have done in the last 2 years, from creating foundational documents, for example, many use of evidence-based practice, and then also the school recognition and program endorsement. So that was a big long answer.
But that Active School Institute in Northern Colorado, is that where you guys hold a summer institute? Active School? Well, what is that? Give me the official title of it.
Yeah, thank you because I was hoping you'd give me a chance to plug it. So we started last year, 2023, with the inaugural Active Schools National Summit. And the National Summit is to invite all stakeholders in a school system who embrace and recognize the importance of physical activity to come together to learn more about creating and sustaining the active school culture. So it is not a PE conference, and I've been to plenty and they're great and amazing, but we welcome anyone and everyone. So from classroom teachers to administrators to principals to PTA, PTO members, to anyone who has that passion for physical activity and wants to take that back and be the champion for their school and or district. So it's coming up. We have our second year this July 17th to the 19th, 2024, and we welcome anyone and everyone. And I'll maybe give you a discount code that we can push out there. So if people need that little nugget to entice them to come, we'll make it happen. So
a follow-up to this is, because you mentioned that you're part of Action for Healthy Kids. So our large urban school district is a member of the Action for Healthy Kids Urban Wellness Coalition. And that, how similar are the two in terms of, I know when I've gone to some of the urban wellness convenings, it's people who are doing active stuff, but it wasn't just PE people. It was the food service people in some schools. It was the social emotional learning people, or, it was different. It wasn't just health and PE. So how similar or how different is the Active School Summit versus, say, that?
Yeah, so first of all, what used to be the Urban School District Coalition is now the National School District Wellness Coalition, and it includes districts of any size. So we've expanded substantially to include all districts that want to be a part of it. And if you're out there and you are involved in a district on any level, the Wellness Coalition has and supports topics from health, nutrition, food service, wellness, social emotional learning, counseling. So those convenings, we have a virtual one next week, actually, and then we will have an in-person one in the fall. So those still do exist. And then to answer your direct question about Action for Healthy Kids, they really have 3 pillars. So one is social emotional learning, one is nutrition, and then one is Energize, which is basically physical activity, and then Active Schools fills that niche of the pillars that the Action for Healthy Kids and the tools and resources that they provide to schools and districts.
So let's go back to being an active school. And you said that there's school recognition of being an active school. So first, I just got a few things to, I guess, sum up of everything that you said, that correct me if I'm wrong. When a physical education teacher or administrator thinks of their school as an active school, if I walked into that type of school, they just embody movement whenever, wherever, as much as they possibly can, in the classrooms, on a stage, in a principal's office, in the hallways with maybe active decals, where we know that physical education, probably more likely in in elementary school, they don't get a lot of instructional time in front of a licensed physical education teacher. Sometimes it's, elementary student may see their physical education teacher once every 5-6 days. So it's so important to have a movement-based culture permeate, throughout the school building. Is that a fair assumption of what an after school is?
Yes and no. So
Okay.
basically, yes, in the ideal sense. And on our website, we have this pyramid with 4 levels. And the base level is just being a champion. And that just means somebody who embraces the importance and recognizes, as I said before, and maybe you don't have the bandwidth, time, energy, platform to do anything more than that. But you know it's important, and you're going to just sort of embrace embrace that notion. And then the next level would be similar to what you're talking about. Is just take it to the next level. So it's utilizing some of the tools and resources that we have, encouraging others, getting the classroom teachers on board, making sure recess has some level of structure so that students have opportunities to be active and not just sit around looking at an empty playground. And then the third level would be professional development. So we all know the importance of that. So we can't expect staff or teachers to just know immediately what to do, but we have to train them and support them. So Active Schools has a variety of webinars and also 3 18-hour online professional development courses through the University of Northern Colorado. And then that peak level would be like the capacity building. And that's like the ultimate, that's the, like you said, like as good as you can be, you're doing everything. You're collecting maybe some data on the effectiveness of everything that you're doing. Maybe you're applying for school recognition because you're hitting more of those essential 9 essential elements, and then you're getting that distinguished school honor once you do.
Gotcha. So how does a school join Active Schools?
Yeah, so you go to the website, and there's a button on just about every page that says join the movements. We welcome, as I said before, all teachers, all stakeholders, anyone within a school. It's free. There's no commitment. Being an Active School champion, means that you're going to help change the way, possibly help change the way that your school prioritizes physical activity. And the benefit is that you get a monthly newsletter. So we share all of the latest and greatest things that we are providing or creating for you. So February, for example, was Active Classrooms Month. So we tried to provide teachers with as many different tools and resources to either directly or indirectly, because maybe they don't have their own classroom of students, but they're the PE teacher or principal, so they can share those with others, their colleagues and whatnot, to create more active classrooms. So that's just one example.
Very cool. So if I just Google searched Active Schools, that would probably get me to their website and just join the movement and put in my information.
Bam, that's it.
Awesome. And I think that's important because a lot of times, teachers don't have the opportunity to make these, let's say, calendars and make these resources that if just searching, and I'm amazed sometimes, the posts I see online saying, hey, does anybody have a lesson? Does anybody have this? I'm like, a Google search has so much activities out there and resources. It probably would lead to Active Schools. It'll probably lead to tons of different resources. Whereas I'm not sure when you started teaching, Nick, but I started teaching in 1994, where you really had to go to conferences to see activities in action, and you really had to buy books. We didn't have curriculums. We didn't have digital resources. I couldn't just, download a playlist from Spotify. I had to, run to Walmart at midnight to find that one CD that I needed with that song to play in my gymnasium the next day, which, by the way, when CDs came, I was first starting with tape cassettes. But anyways, it's just, I think that we're so lucky now in our profession of having people like you to share these resources and to better the profession and get kids moving more. So I really appreciate what you're doing. I know you're the ambassador, you're the director, but you're not doing it to monetize. You're doing it to just spread the word. So I appreciate you, being that person for Active Schools and leading Action Healthy Kids in that direction. Keith?
So before I get to my next question, I have a follow-up to the things you were talking about with Active Schools. You mentioned that there's online PD, 18 hours worth. Is that something a PDE teacher can sign up for and get renewal credit for? Will you send the certificate? Is it something to that effect? Because, I can't speak for all the other districts out there, but there's a lot of districts that struggle to find PD for their PE teachers. And if they can get credit for it toward their license, is this something that Active Schools offers?
Yeah. So it's not graduate credit, but it's a certificate with 18 hours recognizing that they took the course and completed the course, which it takes a full 18 hours. So it's not one of those things where it says, oh yeah, it's going to be 18 hours. And, like 1 hour later, you're like, oh, I watched the one video and I'm done. It is very detailed, very involved, but also very thorough to walk teachers through, like I said, the fabric of creating that active school culture. And real quick to just chime off what Kim said, we don't do everything alone. For lack of a better word, we are the collective impact. So Active Schools has a variety, many, 60, I think, or over 60 supporting organizations. So they're all ultimately the ones who do a lot of those service and programs for schools and teachers and students and all, school health being one of the supporting organizations. So lots of groups out there who are the boots on the ground or connected to those boots on the ground to embrace everything that we're doing.
No, yeah, that's awesome. And hey, I mean, it's good to hear that though, because I know some states require graduate course level stuff toward their license. I mean, we don't. I mean, for our license, there's only going to be so many graduate courses that we allow. It's a matter of finding other PD outside of your state conference or another conference. And even to tell you, like Kim, was the mixtape queen. She was one of those people that had to wait for the radio and then hit record when the favorite song came on.
You didn't know me then. You didn't know me then.
Listen, I know enough about you to know that you did that.
You're right. You're right. I actually called the radio station and said, can you please play this song so I'm ready to hit play and record at the same time on my boom box.
And so that I can have this for my PE class tomorrow. This one going out to Gym Teacher Kim.
No, that's when I then bought the, single tapes for $1.99. Those are when it was like, okay, I had like a bunch of those, All right, go on. Enough. Oh, wait. I love what you just said about the collective impact, because there is no shortage of basically people that are trying to just bring quality PE, more PE into our schools so that kids could become movers for life. And I've always been one to say, hey, we have this organization, we got this organization doing this, we got this organization doing this, but we can all play well in the sandbox.
Please, right?
I am all about that. You know what?
Me too.
I am so happy for what you're doing. I'm so happy for teachers, for administrators, for this organization, that organization. I don't care. There's no shortage. I just wish that it was such a priority in the education system that we were saturated and we were too consumed with work that we need more. So right. I just appreciate it. I think that just playing well in the sandbox and networking is the way that we're going to help kids become healthier. So go ahead, Keith. There's my little I guess my little motto.
Your soapbox. We got it. So we're going on to the next question here, Nick. You have a sweet website called bethehype.org. And of course, we have to plug that because, you are the creator of that. And there's a lot of really cool stuff on there. And one of the things that sticks out to me is all these professional developments that you offer. I mean, there's 9 different professional developments on here, and they all look amazing. But now I'm going to ask you probably the toughest question you're going to get. And I'm sorry if you said you have 1 child or 2 children.
Just
one. So, so then I'm just going to kind of put you in this precarious situation of asking you, which is your favorite of the ones to do? And that's, now that would be like me asking Kim, which is your favorite child? Is it Cora or, is it Bryce? But since you only have 1, you can only say 1, but these are your babies on this website. What is one that you're like, yes, that's the one I really want to do the most?
Yeah, that's why I only had 1, so I don't have to worry about that on a much grander level. So Be the Hype was my pandemic passion project, I guess you could say. And the reason why I came up with the term was basically by default. Like I tried to Google how many names were out there that were available, and so many names were taken. So I just landed on this because it was available for like that sole proprietor LLC type recognition. And that's how the name came about. And to answer your question, let's see. If I had to pick just one, I'm going to do a quick follow-up. If I had to pick one and only one, it would probably be the Engaging Phys Ed Open to All, just because that's my background. And I love sharing strategies for PE teachers of all levels to just new ideas, things they may already like be doing on some level, but a different spin on it. Not telling them to change who they are, but just giving them another tool to add to their toolbox. And if there was like a short follow-up to connected to that was like a close second, it would be the classroom movement to activate learning. That's similar to the course I teach here at the college. And those are the people who may not have always had a positive experience in physical education, so may not be as willing to embrace physical activity. So getting them to just see the benefits and give physical activity a try, give it a chance.
Your website name is awesome, by the way.
Thanks.
Absolutely love it. It actually, I think, symbolizes your personality as well. Because I just, like I said, I think I shared this when you were off stage, but anytime I see you at a conference, you're always smiling and enthusiastic. It's like you're just hyped up, always excited to be surrounded by, like-minded professionals when we're at a conference. So kudos to the name of the website. Love it. Obviously, I trolled it and I was like, I didn't even know you even had it until I saw your Twitter bio and so forth like that. So I looked at it and I saw the workshops. I love the one that says XSEL int excellent.
Excellent.
I thought that was very clever. I was like, all right. I could see you being great in all those professional development workshops. Now, do you do them? You customize them 3-hour, full day workshops, or it's what the customer wants? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So everything from a 1 hour virtual to a 3 or 4 or 5, 6 hour in person, and then just tailoring it to what the district initiatives are or what the teacher's preference is.
Right. That's awesome. Good for you. So you I think you stated that you did this in the pandemic. So in 21,
yeah, that was
not too old. So I'm glad that we're actually having this because one, I then really read your bio on Twitter. I would not have known about this website. And now we're talking about the website. I want more people to know about it. It's it's really good. And like I said, I have seen you present and you're a dynamic presenter. And what you said earlier about, I'm not trying to change you as a teacher. I'm trying to just give you additional tools. And I think that's what people are afraid of sometimes going to professional development. What are they going to make me do? How are they going to say I'm doing everything wrong and I got to do it this way? That's not what professional development should be about. It's not about what you're doing wrong. Gosh, I did so many things wrong in the beginning of my career. So many. I learned from maybe some of my, behaviors and things I had to change, but it was over time. It was a journey. So I'm glad you said that. It's about just adding maybe something that can make your life easier and to help kids become more engaged and to maybe possibly move more and be more active. That's it. But it's not about changing you. We're not going to preach to you that you can't do this. You shouldn't do that. So kudos. So let's go back to SUNY Cortland, because as I stated before, I grew up in Western New York. I was from Rochester, New York, near Buffalo. So when you said Syracuse, I did not have the strong enough grades in high school. C's got me the degree. And so I went to a North Carolina small school. So, SUNY Cortland, any SUNY school was sort of hard to get into. Oswego, Cortland. But Cortland is known as the Mecca of grooming physical education teachers. Yes, it's hard to get into. Brockport, another SUNY school, is another physical education grooming ground. But SUNY Cortland is sort of known as you reach the peak. What is it about SUNY Cortland that has that special sauce of grooming PE teachers? Tell me about just your teaching preparation.
Yeah, so just one minor correction. I actually went to Ithaca College. So anyone who follows Division III athletics, that's like the biggest little rivalry that there is in sports. So I have to be careful who I say that to. And I'm in Cortland. It was a really interesting dynamic because when I was there as a student, they'd be like, "Oh, tell the class where you're from." And I'd be like, Cortland. And then coming back to Cortland after graduating Ithaca, they're like, "Oh, tell everyone where you went to school." I was like, college. So,
but Ithaca, it's gorgeous, or gorgeous. It's amazing, everybody.
Gorgeous
Great
because
school.
of the gorgeousness.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's like the little what's it called? What's the Grand Canyon of the East?
Yeah. And I think
it's amazing.
The Taganic Falls, I think, is taller than Niagara Falls. Like now it's a stream of water that's about this big, but the height is
wow.
as taller than Niagara Falls from what I hear and what I'm told.
Okay.
And great hiking across Ithaca, Treeman, Buttermilk. If you're ever near Ithaca, amazing things to see and do.
Yeah, especially
so anyway,
going
the
there
Ithaca College lost their program. That's
they
one
did?
of the schools who dropped, as I talked about earlier. So now I feel comfortable touting SUNY Cortland as the Mecca and agreeing with you as that. So when I came back into town, because I was raised in Cortland, I did get my master's at SUNY Cortland, but it was in teaching students with disabilities. And then when I left teaching elementary, I had an opportunity to join the faculty here as an adjunct. So now I get to see more of that college prep. And it's, I just constantly evolving is, I guess, what I would say, which keeps it so popular among students from everywhere. Huge group that comes up from Long Island area, in-state, out-of-state. So hopefully that continues.
And then the room that you're in right now, you said it's a lab. What's the lab called?
The AMP lab. So the Activity Movement Pedagogy Lab. So this is actually the lab where Open Initiated was originally started. So I share this lab and office space with Aaron Hart, who's the executive director of Open. And we have a partnership with the university. So we have some students, either undergrad or graduate students who support part-time to do some of the work and creation of the projects Open provides. That's
an amazing partnership. Very cool. I love the college feel. It's just so like future and, hope. It's just, I love it. Keith, did you have anything to ask?
Well, before I get to my last question, a couple of thoughts have come to mind. One, we got to find a Connecticut guest because I'm tired of the New York people getting on here and talking about how great they think New York is. It really isn't. I mean, Connecticut's number one. We all know that. Because that's where the best pizza comes from. I mean, come on. All right. So, but no, one of the things you said that really sticks out to me there is that you said that you came out of there with a degree with teaching students with disabilities, right? So how big of a part of the program is that in your teacher prep program there at SUNY Cortland? Because when I went to Wingate University, it was actually a pretty good part of our teacher prep, which I hate to say that they've gone away from in a time when it's at its highest need, right? I think a lot of people just glaze over adapted PE, and then as much as we get kids ready for this profession, that's a part that they struggle with, which, a good teacher prep program, would help ease that, because it does come with a little bit of nerves when you first start teaching, right? That is a pretty nerve-wracking piece. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing right by these students? But so long story short, like how big of a part of the program is it there?
Yeah. So I guess two questions for that, two answers to that question. One was, mine was more mine was totally removed from physical education. So it was like in the special education department. So more of like a broad understanding of all disabilities and all students and what they need. And then specific to physical education, we have a great adapted PE program. So all students get some of the basic courses, and then students can either minor or come back and get their master's in adapted physical education to really go above and beyond. And to hit on your point, I think all of this, whether it's understanding special education or understanding adapted PE, will help you in anything and everything that you do in life, because as I tell my 5-year-old son all the time, everybody's different. So whatever we do, it shouldn't be the same for anyone and everyone. And it doesn't matter if it's just the student who with the IEP, like all students need options to help them along their journey of education or physical education.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I just, it's one of those things, like when you go to conferences, it always kind of seems at times that it's an afterthought. And we have so many new PE teachers that kind of struggle with that piece. And it's a huge, most important piece. And I speak for myself here. Some of my best and favorite connections are with those students, because they are just amazing in what they can do. And they're always willing to try.
I think it's more the fear of what to do and the awesome responsibility, where it's just like, once you get more exposed and the more you know, then the better you feel at it. So just, more. And Nick, I could see you being fantastic special education teacher. That must have been a little bit of a tug of war with you. Were you thinking of leaving physical education and then becoming a special education teacher, even though I know you could combine the both? But I could see you being amazing.
So I did it as a backup, I guess. I always was leaning, and actually not always. So I went into Ithaca College as a business major. And then because I wanted to make a ton of money, and I remember sitting down with the associate dean, his name was Dean Rollins. And before I even committed to going there, I said, I want to be rich. Tell me the major in your program to do. And he was like, well, finance or marketing. So they both sort of have their benefits, one like short-term and one long-term, like financial success. And I was like, all right, sign me up for marketing. And then I had a job after that, working as the health director. I had my EMT certification at a sports camp. So I was making double what all the coaches were making, but I just remember sitting in my little office space, staring out at the coaches who were engaged and moving and having fun. And I was like, that's what I want to do. So I went back and I did a double major in business and PE, and then decided to get something to complement those and just understanding students with disabilities. And then if at the very least, it would help me as a PE teacher when I got my first role. And if not, actually leading into that role, I took a long-term sub. So it was a half-year position as a special education teacher, which got my foot in the door in that school to then be the PE teacher the following school year.
That's an amazing story. I can't believe I pulled that out. I had no clue. And I'm so glad I asked that. You were a business major to start. Yeah. Oh, that is crazy. So cool. I love that question. So maybe this will lead to what Keith is about to ask you.
Yeah, so that does bring me to my last question, which is, if you can offer advice or guidance to your younger self about becoming a PE teacher, okay, what advice would you give? This is big.
This is big. This is hard. So I'm going to do my best to answer this one. I would have to say, going back to my 10th grade earth science teacher, maybe it was 9th grade earth science teacher, Mr. Ulrich, he always told me to be more open-minded. And I didn't really know what that meant at the time, but along the way, I would look back and be like, man, I wish I was more open-minded. I probably would have been better. For example, after you graduate high school athletics, you think you were all that. And then looking back, you're like, oh, if I would have been more open-minded, all of the things that the coach was telling me is what I'm now as the coach trying to tell the athletes. And I was the one who was know-it-all some of the time. And didn't really recognize the importance of what they were saying. So more open-minded there would have made me a better athlete. More open-minded in college would have made me maybe just, I don't know, join a different club or try this or try that. But I was pretty much like I was going to do this and sort of stay on the course. And then as a teacher, I think I did a decent job of doing everything that I was supposed to, but maybe I was the one who was at that conference and I was like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. And instead of being more open-minded and being like, wow, like maybe I could try this differently or maybe I could do that. And that's part of reflection. And I actually got my national board certification, which sort of brought this to full light after I'd been teaching for like 6 or 7 years. And that process is very reflective. So always, I think we can be more open-minded to trying new things and making ourselves better.
Very cool. I like that answer.
I do too.
That was good. I thought Keith was going to chime in going, well, that's because you guys are New Yorkers and you guys have it, it's that way in your, no, Keith. I thought you were going to chime in on that one.
No, I was being open-minded.
Oh, well done.
Woo!
All right. Well, then that leads us to the segment of the show that is quick bites. So that's where you just have to free your mind. And we're going to ask you some questions in just a little bit. And you just have to answer them basically what comes to your mind. All right. So get ready. Quick bites.
All right. So this is, like Kim just said, you're just going to get, I don't know her questions. She doesn't know mine. And you obviously don't know any of ours. So you just got to be quick on your feet here. Some are meant to stump you. Some are meant to be hilarious and just do the best. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You go first.
Let's go.
Okay. What is the most annoying or worst catchphrase?
Wow, that's crazy. I would say anything that I don't know what it means that comes up on TikTok, and I can't even think of a good example right now, but my wife would like randomly throw out some word and it's like, I can't even get an example, but I don't know what it means. So those are anything that I don't know what it means because it's like this new phrase that is posted on social media, and I don't spend enough time on social media to pick up these terms.
Well, especially they shorten things. Like I had to look up, I think it's called, when you know something, IKY, no. I was like, I don't even know what that means. I can't, they shorten things. So, and SMH, shake my head, or like, I had to look that up.
Right. If we have to look it up, it's annoying.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the secret language of the social media.
I go with that whole thing of it just absolutely irks me when somebody says, well, we're doing that with fidelity. And it's like, no, you're not. Stop throwing around this word like it's the
fidelity.
Worst. When a principal says that to me and I look at him and I'm like, you're really not. So you're just throwing around the big word, Mr. Principal.
All right. So you're a hyped up guy. What do you do to relax?
Oh, that's a great question. And I don't relax easily or often. Okay. So when I do get a chance, I try to shut down. Last week, I took a vacation with my family. It was a cruise, actually. That was sort of a cruise we got, I'll do in quotes, for free. And that's a totally other story. It wasn't free because we did have to pay part of it to include my son and upgrade our room and all. But when I'm on vacation, I love naps by the pool or the beach. I don't always shut down from email because I'm like, I don't want to be the when I return to have a pile, but twice a year I try to commit. This was one of the weeks. I'll do a week in the summer. So 2 weeks, email free, naps in the sunshine. And that's my relaxation.
That's awesome. So you went to a cruise during President's Week? Because in
New York, probably not in North Carolina, but in New York, they usually give the whole week off, not just a long weekend. So my wife and son both had the full week off.
And for those who are listening, that is because we have a shortened Christmas holiday break, whereas other states have like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
I remember only having like a week and a half. So then they stretch it into February where we have that week in February. So I just want to clarify that to our viewers. All right, Keith, next.
All right. So if animals could talk, which would be the rudest and which would be the nicest?
The rudest. I would have to say the rudest animal would be a hippopotamus.
Okay.
And the nicest, and I'll explain why I say this, is the sloth, the sweetest, because my wife and I actually just had this conversation. Who is the animal that we would be if we were animals or whatnot? And we agreed that she would be a sloth because she loves like just chilling on the couch, nestled under a blanket, not being bothered, and all like so. So that's, and she's super sweet and amazing. So, bam.
Look at that. You put a plug in for the wife. I love it. No, that's very cool. Okay, now I'm going to stretch you a little bit. Which cartoon character, it could also be like a Marvel character because there are cartoons too back in our day. Which cartoon character would be the most fun to meet in real life and why?
I would have to probably go with Superman, and I'm not like this huge crazy Superman fan, but if I had to pick one who I could follow around for a day, it would be him. Like somebody who would take me to a different planet and fly me around and get me to the sunshine in Florida to take a nap on the beach in like 5 seconds. He has all the special talents to get me where I want to do and what I want to see for a day.
I love how you keep saying Florida and the beach because in New York, you're so tired in the month of February and March is like drawn out of just the snow. You just want to go to the sunshine state.
Yeah.
All right, Keith.
Well, I guess that would take out any question I had of whether you prefer the beach or the mountains. But okay.
And actually, you want to ask that? I love naps by the beach, but also huge into hiking. So if I had a choice, it might even be the mountains. Even though I like a nap by the beach, like to do something, I prefer to take a hike.
Fair enough. So kind of along the lines of Kim's questions, it's a little in that same area. But what superhero or villain would make the best therapist?
The best therapist. Oh.
Wow.
I asked this of a coworker today, and their answer was spot on. I would take the same person.
I'm going to just totally come up with the first thing that came to my head, and I would say Groot, because Groot is not going to give you any unsolicited advice. It's just somebody to talk to, and at the end of at the end of your rant, he's just going to say, "Groot, I am Groot," and bam, that's all you need. All right.
So my coworker,
that's awesome.
My coworker said, if for anything else it'd be funny, Deadpool.
All right. You are again, an optimistic, always smiling person. My last question is, what made you smile recently?
Going back to the vacation, it was so nice to get away. The morning we left, there was 6 inches of snow for the second. We've actually had a pretty easy weekend, so I've only had to snow blow twice. That was one of the mornings I had to snow blow. So when I was done with it, I'm like, I am done. Get me on that plane, get me out of here. And I had the biggest smile on my face when we landed in sunshine.
Very cool. Very cool. Nick, that's the last of my quick bites. What about you, Keith?
I mean, I could ask one quick one, and this will be, you can just say yes or no. Is cereal soup?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
And hey, listen, if you like hiking in the mountains, here's where I'm going to do my shameless plug. I mean, there's a great PE institute this summer that Kim Morton is keynoting at here in Asheville. We've got lots of great hiking in the greater Asheville area. So,
which I think is right after the Active Schools Institute in July.
Yes, it is.
So I know that month of July is Institute crazy, or just there's lots of opportunities for professional development. So I'm glad they didn't occur at the same time, but they are so close. But would love to. Are you going to shape Cleveland, Nick, at all?
I am not, unfortunately. I actually have 2 sessions that were accepted, but I have co-presenters for both. So the sessions will go on, and I'm reluctantly going to miss and hope to be back next year in Baltimore.
I get it. I totally get it. So I was hoping just to be able to, thank you in person.
Me too. I'm missing. I'm having FOMO already.
So I know our paths will cross again in person. So just keep being awesome. I really appreciate all the hype that you bring to our PE profession. And we'll say our goodbyes to you. And then Keith and I will just kind of wrap up the podcast with some of our aha moments. But thank you. I really appreciate the time that you took to be on the Pizza and P podcast. Bye, Nick.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Nick.
Oh, that was awesome.
Absolutely.
I loved that I got that out of him about the business major. I would never have known. Never have known. That's so cool. That's what I love about this podcast. You're just eating pizza and discussing PE. Like, you're just, having a conversation of just, about life and about PE. I love it.
Correct.
So what was your aha moment? I'll let you go first.
I mean, there was a couple of things that he said that for sure I can use, but the more I reflect back, it's something that I wish I would have done a better job of earlier, and that's being open-minded. Taking like what he said about that. I know there are times in our profession we can get closed-minded to certain things and certain theories, and there was a lot of things. I guess it comes with, and this, when some things are forced at you as a teacher instead of asked as a teacher, like, hey, what do you think of this? No, you're going to do this. And it's like, I wish I had a better open-minded mentality. All right, let me try it. But again, that does come to being forced. But yeah, I mean, you got to be open-minded to a lot of things in this business. It's constantly changing. You got to be open-minded to, technology. At the beginning, we were all like, no, we're not going to use technology. That these kids are on computers all day, and it's like, well, no. Now we use it as a teaching aid, and now it's you look at all the hype there is about AI, and like people are like mad about AI, but it's like, but there's some really good things about AI. And before you cast that judgment on it, be open-minded to see how it can really help you do things or make things a little easier for you. So yeah, that, and the only other thing was when he said, give me guidance versus changing me as a teacher. I'd rather see people, give me guidance versus trying to change me. Like, hey, take what you like from this session, make it yours. How does it relate to you? Not do as I say.
Yeah. That's the piece that I really resonated with too, as well. And going back to your open-minded, message that you were sending about being more open-minded teaching, and you brought up how things are handed down and required of us. I think that's why sometimes we become closed-minded, because it's how it was delivered to us without any input or thought or understanding behind some decisions in education, where it's like, well, you're teaching this for 40 minutes and this curriculum and this way and that way. And you're like, wait, I'm being told without any input. So that kind of puts up that defense wall. I was just going to expand on what you said, but I did like his, younger self advice about being open-minded. And then of course the teacher professional development about not trying to change you. I'm just trying to say, here's just another little tool to make your life easier. But I'm really glad that I was able to talk through the active schools and how to join the movement and the different tiers and how you could become, even at the ground level, of just being a champion. Then all the tools and resources that they provide, where then anybody, a classroom teacher, a principal, a parent group, they're able to go on and just help kids move more throughout the day. And I really liked how I now have a clear understanding of the role of Action for Healthy Kids, active schools, and how they're one, but there's one segment of Action for Healthy Kids with the active schools. So I encourage anybody to go out there and join that movement for just becoming a champion. You're already a champion if you're a PE teacher. First of all, you're already a champion. But just take it to the next level and just get some of those free resources. And then to provide those tools where maybe classroom teachers are going up to you and saying, hey, do you have a movement game for this? Or do you have a movement calendar? Or do you have this? Just go to active schools.
Absolutely.
Nick is a creative guy. I'm sure he's even though he gave credit to a lot of people, I'm sure he had a huge creative piece in a lot of those resources because he's a humble guy too. I could tell he doesn't like to toot his own horn. He's humble. And I have a feeling that he has his hands on a lot of that creative content because he's also a curriculum writer. And that's hard. So we didn't get that out of him, but I think it's just because he's a humble guy.
Sure. For sure.
But anyways, Keith, my pizza, it's gone. Take the last bite. Take the last bite, my friend. All right, everybody. Slice you later.
Ciao.